Once again, Christian greetings to all our valued listeners and viewers throughout the whole world, more particularly to all Shepherd's Rod believers, and most especially to our beloved brothers and sisters in the United States of America. Special greetings to our brethren in Colorado, in Kansas, in Georgia, in Missouri, Texas, Chicago, Illinois, in Arkansas, in California, and New York, Fiji Island, Mexico, Spain, Africa, Kenya, Pakistan, Zambia, to the United Kingdom, to our brethren in Australia, and also to our brethren in Malaysia, and to the rest of the 144,000 living saints scattered abroad. Greetings. May the good Lord bless you, brothers and sisters. I would like to read first this reading in General Conference Special. On page 7, it says, "It is therefore only to be expected that the predicted Elijah will be denounced as a false prophet, perhaps even as the Antichrist, offshoot, or whatnot." General Conference Special, page 7. "It is therefore only to be expected that the predicted Elijah will be denounced as a false prophet, perhaps even as the Antichrist, offshoot, or whatnot." Now, since the work of Elijah is to announce the great and dreadful day of the Lord, by which the Shepherd's Rod declared clearly that no one can proclaim the day but Elijah. Here on General Conference Special, page 11 and page 12, "Shall it be you, shall it be me, to be shaken out?" is the greatest question before us. It cannot, though, be either of us if we are intelligently determined not to let it be. Assuredly, brethren, not a one need be in uncertainty. All may for a surety know both the day and the Elijah as he proclaims it, because to our surprise, he will point out that every Bible prophet describes the day, and also tells what the Lord would have us do while it is approaching, and subsequently, while we are going through it. All will see that no one but Elijah can proclaim the day. So only Elijah can proclaim the day. Here in page 19, General Conference Special, it says, "Jewel's 2 chapters give us a most compact and vivid view of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. From this alone, we can clearly see what it is like. And as Elijah comes just before that day begins, he must necessarily be the one who is to interpret these prophecies of the day and who consequently announces that the day is at hand." Now, here I would like to introduce to you, brothers and sisters, one of the most important part in the prophecy recorded in the Bible as interpreted by the Shepherd's Rod. And some portion, I will read only that part that I would like to explain, and you can read the entire paragraph if you wish. Now, here in 2SR 183, it says, "The door that was shut is a symbol showing that probation for the church had closed just shortly after the foolish virgins became alarmed." 2SR 183. The door that was shut is a symbol showing that provision for the church had closed just shortly after the foolish virgins became alarmed. So, at the time when the foolish virgins became alarmed, probation for the church already closed. How about the wise virgins? Now, here in, I would like to read some passages. Here in 1 TG, it says here, 1 TG number 1, let me see if I can find that statement. The shepherd says that we need to reach on the door on time. Take 1 TG 25. Here in 1 TG number 25, on page 13, let me read to you the statement. It says, shall we not accept these riches, truth, that are tried in the fire, and these garments of righteousness by which to cover our nakedness? Shall we not anoint our eyes with this fresh golden oil of truth, that we may see and know the way, that we may reach the door on time? I would like to focus that statement, that we may reach the door on time. And I think that is pointing to the wise virgins. In 1 TG number 8, page 21, it says, I would like to read 1 TG number 8, page 21. What they now see at a distance appears to them, for sure, to be the sea of glass. But when they get to the end of the way and take a close look, they will in indescribable grief and with quivering voice cry out, mirage, mirage, not the sea of glass. Then will they be anxious to know the truth and will pay anything to get it. But it will be too late, and they will to change the figure, get to the door only to hear the voice from within say, I know you not. Matthew 25, verse 12. And for sure, that is pointing to the foolish virgins. Here in 1 TG number 21, on page 7, it says, 1 TG number 21, page 7. These were left out with the tares only because they let the devil sow in their hearts seeds of foolishness, seeds of contentment, lukewarmness, with the initial truths by which they joined the church. Thus they mistakenly felt no need of additional light from the Lord. But when prophecy began to fulfill, when the prophecy began to fulfill itself beyond their scope of divinely revealed knowledge, and as they saw the events of the gospel shaping themselves contrary to their expectations, they became alarmed and confused, saw themselves in darkness. Now, let us now reason together, brothers and sisters. Focusing Jeremiah 8 verse 20. And track number 3 on page track number 3, page 71. beginning from page 70, track number 3, page 70 and page 71. It says, the second section of the separation, thus being completed, provisionary time is closed, whereupon from the wicked will be heard the horrible wail of doom. The harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. Jeremiah 8 verse 20. This being the dreadful experience of the tares in Babylon in the second section of the harvest, there must, as a type, be a similar and precedent experience for the tares in the Laodicean church in the first section of the harvest. Now let us focus first in the first section of the harvest. Of course, all Shepherd's Rod believers will agree that the first section of the harvest is the sealing of the 144,000 living saints. The Shepherd's Rod declared clearly here in track number 5. Let me read to you. Track number 5, page 74. It says, it will be noted that the 144,000 are called the first fruits, denoting that they are sealed at the beginning of the harvest. When does the 144,000 are sealed? They are sealed at the beginning of the harvest. So that is very plain. So let us now start to reason together, brothers and sisters, and see what the Shepherd's Rod teaches. So, when does the 144,000 are sealed? At the beginning of the harvest. So I would like to put here, beginning of the harvest. So the 144,000, they are sealed at the beginning of the harvest. Now, I would like to read to you answerer number 2. And, well, I would like to say to all the brethren who are now busy posting on Facebook or on intermedia, saying that I am a false prophet. And I love you, brethren. I understand your point. But I'm also pleading with you because the time is very short. And let us not put our eternal destiny in uncertainty. Now, here in answerer number 2, page 36, it says, the harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. Jeremiah 8 verse 20. Answerer number 2, page 36. The harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. Jeremiah 8:20. It shows that the harvest is a period of time having a beginning and ending, and that during its time, men are saved. So what is the harvest? The harvest is a period of time having a beginning and ending, and during its time, men are saved. So this is the two periods of the harvest, beginning and ending. So let us put here, ending. So this is the entire period of the harvest. Harvest. But the Shepherd's Rod declared clearly that, brothers and sisters, the 144,000 are sealed when? At the beginning of the harvest, not at the ending. So I would like to repeat again. According to answerer number 2, page 36, harvest is a period of time having a beginning and ending. So that is the entire period of the harvest. And during these two periods, it is probationary time. Men are saved. But in the two periods of the harvest, the 144,000 living saints are sealed at the beginning of the harvest. Track number 5, page 74. Very plain, right? Saying it will be noted that the 144,000 are called the first fruits, denoting that they are sealed at the beginning of the harvest. So, not at the ending, but rather in the first period of the harvest, because harvest is a period of time and divided into two periods, beginning and ending. So, when does the 144,000 are sealed? At the beginning of the harvest. Now, look at, brothers and sisters, how the scriptures, the Bible, and the shepherd's rod are in absolute agreement, in perfect harmony. So, hoping that God would bless us and would help us. So, I would like to make it very gradual. So, first, we already established the absolute fact that the sealing of the 144,000 is at the beginning of the harvest. Track number 5, page 74. Now, I would like to read first the statement here on the Old Symbolic Code. Here in the Old Symbolic Code, it says, 1 Symbolic Code number 14, page 11. 1 Symbolic Code number 14, page 11. It says, how could the harvest be after the close of provision if provisionary time is before the close of provision? Seeing that it does not say the harvest is after the end of provisionary time. Hence, it is plain that the harvest must precede the close of provision. That is, the harvest is the end, the last part of provisionary time, and with it, probation closes. Moreover, Jeremiah prophetically saw that after the harvest was past, the summer ended, the time men were to be saved, the wicked said, the harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. We know that Jeremiah 8:20 can only be applied in the judgment that pertains to the living, because all the wicked who died, they died never experiencing saying the harvest is past and the summer is ended, and we are not saved. That verse is still unfulfilled, and according to this reading, it is the wicked, but it is the living wicked who will proclaim such disappointing words. When will they proclaim that, brothers and sisters, the prophetic event? When the summer is ended. The Bible is very plain, right? Jeremiah 8 verse 20 saying, the summer is ended. I would like to remind again that in 2SR 118, it says this grammatical rule is followed in the scriptures, and it is one way to recognize present truth. And it says in 3 Symbolic Code number 7, page 4, that any interpretation that do not pay attention to language that is inevitably false and are not inspired by the Spirit of God. And in 1SR 244, it says, it is wonderful to note the inspiration of the scriptures. Perfect they are when their appointed time is come, and only such time by which it is grammatically correct. So the scripture in Jeremiah 8 verse 20 is scribed in present indicative tense. the summer is ended. And of course, that predicted event must be fulfilled only in the period of autumn, because that is the time when the summer is ended. In the period of winter, it must be in past tense. The summer was ended because the previous season that ended prior to the season of winter is autumn. So in the time of winter, you can say autumn is ended, not summer. So that statement, the summer is ended, must be in the period of autumn. Now, I would like to read White House Recruiter. Here in White House Recruiter on page 37 and page 38, let's read. Tragically, those who now fail to fill their vessels, Matthew 25, verse 1 to 4, with this extra oil, the additional truth, that of the judgment of the living, flowing from the golden bowl, Zechariah chapter 4, will finally see their lamps flicker out forever like a guttered candle. Oh, in what consternation then will they search for the precious golden oil, and with what infinitely greater anxiety than they now search for gold and for prestige. But alas, then like Esau, though they seek it carefully with tears, they shall find no place of repentance. They purchase their oil too late. The door is closed when they reach it, and to their frantic knocking at it comes the terrifying reply, I never know you. Matthew 7, verse 23. Then it says, then is the harvest of the first fruits past, the fruits garnered in, and the tares shut out unto destruction, there in agony to wail and to gnash their teeth, saying, the harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. Jeremiah 8, verse 20. So here the shepherd's rod made it so plain, saying that the harvest is past. In the actuality is the time when the first fruits, the sealing of the first fruit is finished. And we already read in track number 5, page 74, when would be the sealing of the 144,000? At the beginning of the harvest. When would be the sealing of the 144,000, brothers and sisters? At the beginning of the harvest. Harvest is a period of time, having a beginning and ending. Answerer number 2, page 36. But what period of time does the sealing of the 144,000? In the first period of the harvest, which is the beginning. The word beginning is a gerund. That is verb in ing form, and meaning that is a period of time, which is progressive. Therefore, brothers and sisters, the word beginning, there must be commencement and close. So, within the period, the first period of the harvest, which is the beginning, the sealing of the 144,000 takes place. Therefore, after the beginning of the period of the harvest is finished, that is the time by which the sealing is finished. But we have the clue. What is the clue? The season. It says the summer is ended. So when does the summer will end? Now, let us look at, brothers and sisters, the chart of B.T. Hotep, and that's chart saying the sacred feast. in answerer number 3, this one, the sacred year and its main feast. So, and I invite you to observe clearly on that chart of Betty Hodder. The chart on answerer number 3 on page 12. The sacred year and its main feast. So, maybe it's easy to look at because you can see autumnal equinox, September 22. So it must be on September 22, by which that is the exact period of time by which you can say the summer is ended. The commencement of the autumnal equinox. Therefore, the sealing of the 144,000 will end on September 22. So, it cannot be mistaken because, of course, it cannot be applied on March 21 or March 22 because that is spring. And at that time, the summer is not yet ended, not even begins. What had been ended on the season of spring? Winter. What season ended when the winter will begins? Autumn. What season that will be ended when the summer begins? Spring. But the Bible is very specific. When does the sealing of the 144,000 will be finished? When the summer is ended. According to White House Recruiter, pages 37 and page 38. It says, then the harvest of the first fruits is past. And we know that it is not literal harvest. It points out to the sealing, meaning the sealing of the 144,000 is finished. When? When the summer is ended. When does the summer will end? September 22. So we have now the absolute answer. So what we need now to find out is the year. Because we have already the date. And that date and that month is infallible. Otherwise, the Bible is not accurate of what it teaches. Inscribed in present indicative tense. The summer is ended, meaning presently ended. And we have the chart. Very plain. When would be the autumnal equinox will begin? September 22. So, the sealing of the 144,000 will end on September 22. Gregorian calendar. Now, our next step now is to find out the year. Because every year, there is September 22. Or in other words, every September 22, that is the time when the summer is ended. Every year, September 22. Otherwise, Betty Hotep would not place that on the chart. Now, why September 22? Because it was revealed, brothers and sisters, it was revealed on the 40 typical days. Now, let me read to you here in track number 3. Track number 3 on page 86. It says here, the 40 days, track number 3 on page 86. The 40 days in Acts chapter 1, verse 3 and verse 9, from the resurrection to the ascension are consequently typical of the period from 1844 to the fulfillment of the marking and slaying as recorded in Ezekiel 9 and Revelation 7 verse 3 to 8, Revelation 14 verse 1 to 5 respectively, and in Testimonies to Ministers page 445, Testimonies volume 3 page 266, also Early Writings page 270 to 273. What is the 40 days? From Christ's resurrection to His ascension? Consequently typical. Typical of what? First, the period from 1844. Second, the period of the fulfillment of the marking. Third, the period of the fulfillment of the slaying. There are three periods mentioned here, by which, brothers and sisters, the 40 days is typical. But thank God, brothers and sisters, before we are thinking, how could it be that the period in 1844 is, how can we prove that the 40 days is typical? Because on April 18, that is the resurrection of Jesus Christ, 31 AD. And Jesus Christ ascended to heaven on May 27, 31 AD. Now, if it is 1844, for sure, from 31 AD to 1844, that is not 40 days. Neither that is 40 years. Neither 400 years. Neither 4,000 years. But the shepherd's rod made it so plain that the 40 days are typical. Brothers and sisters, the 40 typical days is a wonderful prophecy. Before explaining, I would like to read to you again the statement on track number 3, third edition. Let's read track number 3 on the third edition on page 6. Track number 3, third edition, page 6. It was during the 40 days of Christ's personal presence with His disciples, from His resurrection to His ascension, that the first fruits, the 120, were gathered in. His presence among them has a deep meaning, and it should be understood by every disciple of Christ. If these 40 days have no other significance, they certainly bear the thought of His personal care over the ingathering of the fruit. But shall we say this vigilance was true only during His short stay with His laborers in that particular time? Such thought would not entertain the truth of His being the only Savior from everlasting to everlasting. Jesus Christ say, Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Matthew 28, verse 20. Is He not the same vigilant Savior of the Old Testament as well as the New? Indeed, Jesus Christ is the same vigilant Savior of both Testaments. And then it says, moreover, His personal care in gathering His people in those 40 days, which we see to be a type of His supervision of the ingathering of the fruits in every generation, should therefore reveal that He is the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world and the Good Shepherd in all ages. You see that 40 days, there is a great truth by which that 40 days should serve as a type of the ingathering of the fruits in all generations. Because the word every is, brothers and sisters, pointing to all generations. But if we will connect our study on Revelation 11, verse 1, God compacted the generation into only 4 classes: temple, altar, worshiper, and the court, which is pointing to the great multitude. And we will prove to you that what the shepherd's rod teaches is absolutely perfect. Miraculously, it was revealed. The 40 typical days. Now, brothers and sisters, it's time to you now to ponder deeply. Read and study tract number 3, page 86, again and again. And tract number 3, third edition, page 6, concerning the 40 days. To repeat again, in tract number 3, page 86, there are 3 periods of time mentioned there, by which the 40 days from Christ's resurrection to His ascension are the type. And type and antitype should exactly fit and perfectly match. And since we are dealing numbers, so we need to deal numbers, because number will always tell the truth. And here it is really wonderful to know the inspiration of the Scriptures. Not until, brothers and sisters, on the divinely appointed time, God gave unto us the knowledge concerning the 40 typical days. But first of all, before showing to you, I need first to read these passages for the benefits of all faithful Shepherd's Rod believers. Here in 2SR 253, it says, "It is certain that nothing could fit so perfectly by accident." Because we will show to you that it is really perfectly fits the 40 typical days. Now let's read again, 2SR 253. "It is certain that nothing could fit so perfectly by accident." No, it is not accident. "But think of such marvelous foresight in devising a wonder of this kind, which could reveal by a living picture the future for thousands of years. Are not such evidences as this a token of love divine toward fallen beings? Gratitude swells from our hearts. Words fail us. We can only exclaim with the psalmist, "Thy word is a lamp unto my feet, and a light unto my path. I have sworn, and I will perform it, that I will keep thy righteous judgments." Psalms 119, verses 105 and 106. And here in 1SR, in page 233, it says here, let's read, 1SR 233 and 234. "Woe to him who may think all these wonderful designs in the beauty of perfection are just a chance or an accident. Such a one is denying the master mechanic of all creation. He is paying homage to evolution, meaning chance." 1SR 233 to page 234. Now, look at, brothers and sisters. Hoping that I would like to show first to you this little diagram. So, if you still remember that diagram from 31 AD and 1844, where's that diagram? So, and look at this diagram, brothers and sisters, for your benefits. From Christ's resurrection to His ascension, from April 18, 31 AD to May 27, 31 AD. So, do we have that? Just remember that diagram. if you please project, if you find out the diagram. April 18, 31 AD, and to May 27, 31 AD, together with 1844, October 22, 1844. Please produce. You have the diagram. April 18, 31 AD, to May 27, 31 AD. So that I will no longer show in a board. Where is 1844? So that is not the diagram. April 18, 31 AD, and together with October 22, 1844. And where is May 27? Well, I would like to show to you first, show the first diagram. The one that you showed first. So, April 18, 31 AD, that is the time when Jesus Christ was resurrected. Just focus this, only this. Okay. Focus only the upper portion. April 18, 31 AD and May 31. You can enlarge. Just let the diagram remain. Take out only the diagram. April 18, 31 AD to May 27, 31 AD. So you see, brothers and sisters, you don't know how to just the diagram, only the diagram. So let's look at the diagram. Okay, let's focus to that portion because you don't know how to only to focus the diagram. So April 18, on April 18, 31 AD, that is the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And in April 18, the remaining days is 13. And Jesus Christ ascended to heaven on May 27, 31 AD, Thursday. So that is literal 40 days. From his resurrection to his ascension, literal 40 days. 13 plus 27 equals 40. 13 plus 27 equals 40. Now, look at, brothers and sisters. I would like to show to you. There is no other way by which that message given by B.T. Hotem, track number 3, page 86, are telling about. But rather, brothers and sisters, it is pointing to the date. April 18 plus October 22. This one is 1844. This one is 31 AD. So, 18 plus 22 equals 40. That is very plain. So, the 40, the type is the duration of time. But the antitype is from date to date. 18 plus 22 equals 40. So, October 22, brothers and sisters, is the answer. That is the gathering, right? That is the gathering of the saints. When does the gathering of the saints begins? October 22, 1844. But that is pertaining to the dead. Although I will not elaborate that portion. Only to explain that the 40 typical days is pointing to the date. April 18 plus October 22, that is 40. And that is the only truth mentioned in tract number 3, page 86, concerning the 40 typical days. But there are 3 periods mentioned in tract number 3, page 86. What is that period? Brothers and sisters, the period from 1844, marking and slaying. So, let us focus now to the marking. Now, go back to our subject, Jeremiah 8 verse 20. When would be the sealing of the 144,000 will be finished? When the summer is ended. Jeremiah 8:20. When would be the summer will be ended? September 22. What is the marking? 40 typical days. Would you think that is just an accident, brothers and sisters, that from the resurrection, April 18, plus September 22, that is 40? The 40 typical days concerning from resurrection to the marking, to the fulfillment of the marking of the 144,000? And when would be the sealing of the 144,000? At the beginning of the harvest. Do not forget that. When would be the sealing of the 144,000? At the beginning of the harvest. Now, I would like to show to you, brothers and sisters, according to the shepherd's rod. This teaching is purely shepherd's rod. And I will give you time to ponder and think it through. Because this message cannot be mistaken. Because it is based in the Bible as explained by the shepherd's rod. Now, I would like to go back again just to establish very simple question with an absolute answer given by the shepherd's rod. What is the harvest? The answer is found in answerer number 2, page 36. Harvest is a period of time having a beginning and ending. So the harvest has 2 periods of time. beginning and ending. Right? That is very plain. Now, in the two periods of the harvest, beginning and ending, when does the 144,000 will be sealed? Is it in ending? No. The answer is found in track number 5. They are sealed at the beginning of the harvest. So let us read again. Track number 5 on page 74. It says here, it will be noted that the 144,000 are called the first fruits, denoting that they are sealed at the beginning of the harvest. So, unless you can find a statement in the shepherd's rod saying the 144,000 are sealed at the ending of the harvest, if that is the case, then the rod is contradicting itself. But there is only one statement you can find in the shepherd's rod. The 144,000, they are sealed at the beginning of the harvest. Very plain, right? Or in other words, the 144,000 are sealed at the first section of the harvest, because the harvest is a period of time with two sections, according to answerer number 2, page 36. Having a beginning and ending. But the 144,000 is sealed, or the 144,000 are sealed at the beginning of the harvest. Now, let's read track number 3. Here in track number 3, on page 76, it says here, track number 3, page 76. Here we see commanded the observance of the 3 harvest rites. Track number 3 on page 76. So let us read the statement here, my dear brothers and sisters. Here we see commanded the observance of 3 harvest rites. Number 1, the ceremony of the waveship at the beginning of the first harvest. Second, the ceremony of the wave loaves at the close of the first harvest. And third, the Feast of Tabernacles at the close of the second harvest. Now, this statement answers completely the subject, brothers and sisters. Now, when does, brethren, according to the reading, the first harvest will close? When does the first harvest will close? According to the statement here in track number 3, page 76. There are 2 ceremonies. What is the first ceremony? The waveship at the beginning of the first harvest. Of course, brothers and sisters, the first harvest is the 144,000 living saints, because they are the first fruits. It's very important for us to study, because the first section of the fulfillment of Jeremiah 8 verse 20 is in the first section of the harvest. Let's read again in track number 3 on page 71. It says, this being the dreadful experience of the tares in Babylon in the second section of the harvest, there must, as a type, be a similar and precedent experience for the tares in the Laodicean church in the first section of the harvest. So what is the first section of the harvest? That is in the Laodicean church, and we know that that is the sealing of the 144,000. It is the sealing of the 144,000. the first section of the harvest. What is the first section of the harvest? Beginning. Because the harvest has two sections. Beginning and ending. Answerer number 2, page 36. Now, brothers and sisters, what is the feast in the ending of the harvest? Feast of Tabernacles. But it is already intended to the second fruits. What is the ceremony of the first harvest? The offering of the wave sheaf. According to our reading in tract number 3, page 76. Now let's read the statement here in tract number 3. It says here, tract number 3 on page, I would like to read the statement given by the shepherd's rod. It says here, brothers and sisters, tract number 3, page 78, the wave sheaf was to be offered on the morrow after the Sabbath, that is on the first day of the week, now commonly called Sunday. This offering was to be presented not on a special day of the month, but rather a special day of the week, before the sickle was put to the grain and gathered into sheaves. Leviticus 23 verse 11 and 14. Coming just at the right time in the season of the first fruits, the Passover week was the period in which the wave sheaf was usually offered before the Lord. When was the wave sheaf was usually offered before the Lord? It is during the Passover week. Very plain, right? When does the Passover will be fulfilled? On the first month of the Bible calendar, April. Now, let's read, brethren. Here in 2SR page 256, it says, the rain falls in the first month. 2SR 256. The rain falls in the first month. That is the month by which the closing work for the church is represented, the sealing time of the 144,000. When would be the sealing time of the 144,000? During the Passover week, represented by the first month, according to this reading, by which the closing work for the church is represented, the sealing time of the 144,000. So the voice of inspiration is plainly telling us that the sealing of the 144,000 is in the period of the Passover week. Very plain, right? Now, when does the sealing of the 144,000 will be finished? It must align with the season, because the Bible says in Jeremiah 8 verse 20, the summer is ended. Now, ponder deeply, brothers and sisters. When would be the summer will end? September 22. Gregorian calendar. When would be, brothers and sisters, thus the predicted time, according to the shepherd's rod, in answerer number 3. Let us read page 13. It says, this chart enables us to see that just as one solar season matches another, the vernal equinox matches the autumnal equinox, and the summer solstice, the winter solstice. In like fashion, the sacred feast of one season matched the sacred feast of another season. The 10th day of the first month, the separation of the unblemished lamb from the flock, Exodus 12 verse 3, corresponding to the 10th day of the 7th month, the work of atonement, the separation of the righteous from the unrighteous. So that is April 10 and also October 10. Now, let us focus first to April 10, Bible calendar. Hope that I'm explaining to you in a more comprehensible manner, but I'm trying my best. I need only to teach what the shepherd's rod had written. Now let me read to you 2SR. 2SR page 200. Let's read 2SR page 200. 55 and 256. So let's read the statement. The Passover lamb being separated from the flock on the 10th day, 2SR 255 and 256. So, it's time to seriously study the shepherd's rod. I'm just helping you. And if you have shepherd's rod publications, then try to see what I am saying. Because if it is the truth, we need it. Now let's read 2SR 255 and 256. The Passover lamb being separated from the flock on the 10th day. When would be the Passover lamb would be separated? On April 10. Coincides with the separation of the righteous from the wicked in the antediluvian world. And that is pointing to May 10. The time when Noah entered into the ark. Friday. According to SR 254, it says, Our God commanded Noah with his family, beasts, fowls, and creeping things to enter in the ark on preparation day, Friday. And that is May 10. Right? In Genesis 7, verse 13 and 16. Now let's read again the statement. Yield. In 2SR 255 and 256. The Passover lamb being separated from the flock on the 10th day coincides with the separation of the righteous from the wicked in the antediluvian world. The day of Christ's burial coincides with the day of the commencement of the flood, also with the commencement of the plagues, and his ascension with the day after rain ceased, also with the end of the world and the translation of the saints. Then it says, these coincidences are perfect with the day of the week and of the month, but the one is a month earlier in the season than the other. You see, the coincidences are perfect with the day of the week and of the month, but the one is a month earlier in the season than the other. It says, the Passover being in the first month and the flood in the second, it has been explained that the Passover is a type of the close of provision for the church, and the closing of the ark a type of the closing of provision for the world. Therefore, there are 30 typical days between one close of provision and the other. If we were given light on how to decipher these typical 30 days, it seems it would reveal the exact number of years from the fulfillment of Ezekiel 9 Passover to the final close of provision. But I would like to say, brothers and sisters, thank God. We have been given the light how to decipher these 30 typical days. So we have now 30 typical days and 40 typical days. The one is earlier than the other. Now, what is earlier in October 22? 1 month earlier. That is September 22. Right? What is earlier on May 10? That is April 10. I think that is very plain. What is September 22 and October 22? That is Gregorian calendar. What is May 10 and April 10? That is Bible calendar. So here we can see the mystery. And as I've said, you can read Genesis to Revelation. There is only one verse by which you can read the statement, infallible proofs. And that is found on Acts chapter 1, verse 3. Now let's read Acts chapter 1, verse 3. It says here, Acts chapter 1, on verse 3. To whom also he showed himself alive after his passion by many infallible proofs. Many. The word many, more than one. Many infallible proofs, being seen of them 40 days, and speaking of the things pertaining to the kingdom of God. Although I think the term positive proofs is also synonymous to the term infallible, because if that proofs are positive, then that is infallible. And there is no other proofs by which the Shepherd's Rod called it positive proofs. The typical events. Here in 2SR 255, let me read to you. 2SR page 255, it says, this light being transmitted by marvels of typical events. 2SR page 255, it says, this light being transmitted by marvels of typical events is a clear manifestation that there is a type for every incident of vital interest to the Church of God, which are the only positive proofs and clear explanation of divine providences. You see, the only positive proofs. So, Satan can produce thus saith the Lord, but drive it into a negative. Become negative proofs. But the only positive proofs is the typical events. Because the Shepherd's Rod says, written words can be misconstrued, meaning the devil can drive it into negative. It says here in 2SR 288, written words can be misconstrued, but symbols cannot, thus making it possible for both learned and unlearned to immediately distinguish the difference between truth and error. And it is even more specific in 2SR page 10 saying, while the enemy has succeeded in confusing the written word of God, God lightens the earth with His glory by these symbolic revelations, and by which He discloses the entire truth and uncovers the traps of the devil. Thus, through types and symbols, He makes wise the simple and confounds the prudent by showing that where there is no type, there is no truth. 2SR page 10. So that reading is very definite that the enemy of God, he had been able to successfully confuse the written word of God. But God employed three chosen mediums: symbolical prophecy, parabolical prophecy, and typological prophecy to defeat the enemy, to uncover the traps of the devil. And in 1SR Packet Edition, in page 73, it says, the statement is very plain. So completely disarming the enemy of souls, the great designer of these typological truths leaves the reader free to make his own choice as to whether he will continue in the darkness or come out into the light of the Lord, no longer to wonder what church to join or what is truth and what is error. You see, the enemy of souls, the great designer of these typological truths, completely disarm, brothers and sisters. So that is the medium that God wants His people to utilize to defeat the enemy. And in 2SR page 267, it says, a great searchlight by the power of the Spirit. 2SR 267, a great searchlight by the power of the Spirit shining through the times is the only medium that can remove the obstruction and clear the way to an understanding of this and many other mysteries that are considered incomprehensible and that baffle the human mind. 2SR page 267. Now let us focus our attention to these two divine typological truths, the 40 typical days and the 30 typical days. Through that truths, it will completely disarm the enemy of souls, the enemy of inspiration. And remember, numbers the same with symbols. It will always give correct answer. If you will say 3 times 3, the answer will forever remain that it is 6. It will never be changed because number always give absolute correct answer. So 40 and 30, it is always 40. It is always 30. Now let us focus first to the number 40. Now, brothers and sisters, you think it is just an accident that April 18, what is April 18? Christ's resurrection. Would you think it is accident that October 22, then you will add 18 plus 22 equals 40? Would you think that is an accident? The same with September 22, by which that is the time by which the summer is ended. 18 plus 22 equals 40. But the fact is that the one is earlier than the other because this is September. This is October. 1 month earlier than the other. You see, this is 40 typical days and at the same time 30 typical days. The other is October 22, the other is September 22. Therefore, it was revealed through 40 typical days and at the same time 30 typical days. Now, let us go to that statement, April 10, and the other is May 10. But let us focus first to April 10. If you believe the shepherd's rod, then you need to believe what had been written in the shepherd's rod. The shepherd's rod made it so plain that April 10 is the close of provision for the church. So that statement can never be mistaken. It was predicted beforehand. Let's read again the statement in 2SR, page 250. Let us read 2SR, page 255. So it says, These coincidences are perfect with the day of the week and of the month, but the one is a month earlier in the season than the other. The Passover being in the first month and the flood in the second, it has been explained that the Passover is a type of the close of provision for the church. But it had been specifically mentioned, April 10, the 10th day of the first month by which the Passover lamb will be separated. And in answerer number 3, on page 13, it says here, let us read again the statement given by the voice of inspiration. It says, the 10th day of the first month, the separation of the unblemished lamb from the flock, Exodus 12 verse 3, corresponding to the 10th day of the 7th month, the work of atonement, the separation of the righteous from the unrighteous. What is that event? The separation of the righteous from the unrighteous. I think that is synonymous to the statement in 1SR. I would like to read to you here in 1SR on page 27 as well as page 29. I would like to read page 29. The sealing of the 144,000 is the separation of the faithful from the disloyal ones. Would you agree that the faithful is the righteous and the disloyal ones is the unrighteous? I hope you agree. In 1SR page 27, it says, 1SR page 27. It says here, it is positive that the sealing of the 144,000 is Ezekiel 9, the separation, sifting in the church, the godly from the ungodly. 1SR page 27. Would you agree if I say that the godly, that is the righteous, and the ungodly, that is the unrighteous? I hope so. So what is April 10? That is the close of provision for the church by which God separated the righteous from the unrighteous, which is the sealing of the 144,000. So when does the sealing of the 144,000 will be finished? In Bible calendar, April 10. April 10. Very plain. But in the season, summer. Therefore, Jeremiah 8:20, since there must be singular fulfillment, first, in the first section of the harvest, brothers and sisters, in the church, and the next one is the singular fulfillment to the second fruits. But the other is May 10. The other is April 10. Bible calendar. Therefore, Jeremiah 8:20 answers all the questions. It must be compacted together. The Bible calendar and the Gregorian calendar. And that is the reason why the 40 typical days is infallible proof. If you will not be convinced of this truth, brothers and sisters, I do not know what will happen to you. Because it is Jesus Christ who declared it, that this proof is infallible. What is the infallible proof? The 40 typical days. Now, I would like to read again tract number 3 on page 86. Tract number 3, page 86. The 40 days in Acts chapter 1, verse 3 and 9. From the resurrection to the ascension are consequently typical of the period from 1844 to the fulfillment of the marking and slaying as recorded in Ezekiel 9 and Revelation 7, verse 3 to 8. Revelation 14, verse 1 to 5. respectively. And in Testimonies to Ministers, page 445, Testimonies for the Church, volume 3, 266, also early writings, page 270 and 273. There are 3 periods mentioned here, by which that 3 periods, the answer is 40 days, from the resurrection to his ascension. And what is that 3 periods? First, the period from 1844. What is the period in 1844? That is October 22. And second, the fulfillment of the marking. When does the marking of the 144,000? The marking and the sealing, I think, are pointing to the same event. Although it was already answered in 2SR 256 that the sealing is in the first month. But we need word for word, brothers and sisters, that it was mentioned, marking and sealing. Let's read 2SR page 169. Again we note, at the time of the Passover in Egypt, the blood on the doorpost was a type of the marking or sealing. So both of them answered. Marking and sealing, it would be on the Passover week. Now, let us now connect how it perfectly harmonized. Brothers and sisters, so I would like to gradually now, if you have ball pen, then take note. Now, what is the first section of the harvest? Answer, the sealing of the first fruits. Tract number 3, page 71. What is the harvest? Harvest is a period of time divided into 2 sections, beginning and ending. Answerer number 2, page 36. In what period of time does the 144,000 will be sealed? Answer, tract number 5, page 74. At the beginning of the harvest, not at the ending. At the beginning of the harvest. What is the ceremony of the beginning of the harvest? Tract number 3, page 76, the offering of the wave sheep. When does the wave sheep usually offered? Tract number 3, page 78, Passover week. When would be the probation of the church will close? 2SR 255, 256, April 10th. When would be the sealing of the 144,000 will be finished? Jeremiah 8 verse 20, White House Recruiter, page 38. Summer, the summer is ended. Now here we can see that there is only 1 year that answer all those statements, all the predicted events recorded in the Bible and is for prophecy. Why? Because all other year will no longer perfectly match the Bible calendar and the season. Now, I would like to emphasize to you, because I know the wise shall understand. Now, brothers and sisters, when would be the summer will end? September 22. When the summer is ended, that is the time when probation for the church will close. Probation for the church will close. When? When the summer is ended. Probation for the church is closed. The answer is, the question is when? Answer is when the summer is ended. When would be the summer is ended? September 22. Jeremiah 8:20. White House Recruiter, page 38. When would be the close of probation for the church, which is the sealing of the 144,000? Of course, the close of probation is when the 144,000 are completely sealed. When would be in Bible calendar? April 10. April 10. Now, brothers and sisters, therefore, the seasonal or the Gregorian calendar, September 22, and the Bible calendar must be in perfect alignment. So it was already predicted beforehand through the infallible proofs. What is the infallible proofs? 40 typical days. September 22. September 22, that is the infallible proofs, which is the 40 typical days, plus 18, the resurrection of Jesus Christ, 40. That proof is infallible. But not all September 22 in the Bible calendar is April 10. So it is very important, brothers and sisters, that we need to understand that there is only one specific year by which this September 22 that in Bible calendar is April 10. And that is the reason that this is an infallible proof. And I can shout to the whole world that this message is sponsored by the Spirit of Christ. And no one can defeat it. Brothers and sisters, that is the reality. And let me show to you, brothers and sisters, in Bible calendar. So, some ask the question, why is it that the season is opposite? Because it was already predicted beforehand. In this typological prophecy, brothers and sisters. Now, for example, if let us I would like to read first Answerer to give you a simple analysis. Answerer number 3. Although it is our understanding which is definitely wrong and erroneous. Answerer number 3, page 11. Beginning its first month of the year with the first new moon. Beginning its first month of the year with the first new moon, at or after the vernal equinox, March 2021, it puts the portent day that on which the Passover lamb was to be slain on April 3. So if the basis is the Gregorian vernal equinox, because March 20 and 21, that is called the Gregorian vernal equinox, which is erroneous. That is not. March 20 and 21, the only right term is spring equinox, not vernal. Brothers and sisters. And we will prove to you that the vernal equinox is immovable. That signpost is immovable. Although it needs long study, but I would like to read first the upper portion in Answerer number 3, page 11. It says, and the year itself by the vernal equinox, the immovable signpost. So, what is the vernal equinox? Immovable. How do you understand the word immovable? Brothers and sisters, it cannot be changed. It is immovable. But Roman calendar is erroneous. Brothers and sisters, only the Bible calendar by which you can prove that the vernal equinox is immovable. It always falls on April 1. That is immovable. But look at the vernal equinox of the Gregorian. Would you think the enemy of God, which is the papacy, will teach the truth? Several times they changes their so-called vernal equinox. There was a time their vernal equinox is March 3 in historical event. Sometimes there was 10 years that they teach it is March 9 and March 10. There is also March 11. There is also March 7. And you can have that in the record in the historical event in Wikipedia. And that is why that is erroneous. Move from time to time. Now, let's go back to answerer number 3, page 11. Answerer number 3, page 11. It says here, beginning its first month of the year with the first new moon at or after the vernal equinox, but B.T. Hotep is talking about the vernal equinox of the Gregorian. March 2021, it puts the 14th day that on which the Passover lamb was to be slain on April 3. Now, brothers and sisters, it says, once for all. So B.T. Hotep is saying here, this is the conclusion, the answer given by B.T. Hotep. Once for all is seen the utter impossibility of the Roman months having the slightest thing to do with fixing the time of either the Passover or the sheep offering, and thus not the slightest thing to do with reckoning the time of either the crucifixion or the resurrection of Christ. Now, if you will base your reckoning through the Gregorian calendar, brothers and sisters, in 31 AD, the new moon appeared on March 9. Now, if that is on March 9, then when would be? Now, let us show first Julian calendar, 31 AD. Julian calendar, 31 AD. 31 AD. And you can have that on your, if you want to research. Let us look at the Julian calendar, the calendar itself, 31 AD. Only March, or the entire year of Julian calendar, 31 AD. So we will show to you. Now look at that Julian calendar. Let us focus to March and April. Now, on 31 AD, we know that the new moon appeared on March 9. Now, if that is the counting, then that is April 1. Now, let us count. 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So, April 14 must be on March 22. But that is Thursday. Does Jesus Christ crucified on Thursday? Now, granting March 20, that is the April 1. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So, April 14 fall on Saturday. Does April 14 fall on Saturday? Brothers and sisters, the Shepherd's Rod says April 14 on the Bible calendar fall on Wednesday. So, Gregorian calendar is erroneous, brothers and sisters, concerning the reckoning. The only thing that we could pick up in the Gregorian calendar is the season, not the reckoning of the Passover. either the Day of Atonement, either the Feast of Tabernacles. I would like to read again the statement in answerer number 3. Answerer number 3 on page 13. Page 11 rather. Page 11. Beginning its first month of the year with the first new moon at or after the vernal equinox, March 20 to 21, it puts the 14th day that on which the Passover lamb was to be slain on April 3. And we have the absolute answer. Let us go back again, 31 AD. Julian calendar. Their calendar. So let us look at April 3. Oh. You see, brothers and sisters, April 3 fall on Tuesday. Contradictory to the shepherd's rod. It says that April is saying it puts the but it puts the 14th day that on which the Passover lamb was to be slain on April 3. So supposed to be April 3, that is April 14. But what is April 14 in Bible calendar? Wednesday. Let us read 2SR. Page 23. 2SR page 23. It says here that the 14th day of the first month that year was on Wednesday. 2SR page 23. Therefore, the Gregorian vernal equinox are erroneous. So the conclusion given by Bithihotep here in answerer number 3, page 11, it says, once for all, so that is the conclusion, once for all, because if you will verify the historical event, if the guidance is the Gregorian vernal equinox, then supposed to be April 14 on 31 AD must be on April 3 according to this reading. But what happened? April 3 fall on Tuesday. But in Bible calendar, what is April 14? Wednesday. Does not coincide. The Gregorian calendar does not coincide with the Bible calendar. So it says here, once for all is seen the utter impossibility of the Roman months having the slightest thing to do with fixing the time of either the Passover or the sheep offering, and thus not the slightest thing to do with reckoning the time of either the crucifixion or the resurrection of Christ. Now, for example, the Day of Atonement, if we will base the autumnal equinox of the Gregorian calendar, when would be the commencement of October 1? September 22. Because that is the commencement of autumn. Now, let us count. For example, Gregorian calendar, 1844. Gregorian calendar, 1844, October. So, let us go to 1844. You see? Now, let us look at September and October. So, if you will follow the autumnal equinox of the Gregorian calendar, September 22 must be October 1. Now, let us count from September 22. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, then 9. Then supposed to be October 10 must be October 1 or October 2. But when does the Bible calendar fall on the Gregorian? October 22, not October 2. Therefore, the basis of the sacred feast is not the Gregorian vernal equinox, neither the Gregorian autumnal equinox. That is erroneous. If that is the basis of how to reckon the sacred feast. So, brothers and sisters, to repeat again, the only thing that we need to pick up in the Gregorian calendar is the season, not the sacred feast. Now, here, the shepherd's rod made it so plain. I already explained, brothers and sisters, that the close of provision must be April 10 Bible calendar. But in Gregorian, it must be on September, at least September 22 and 23, which is, we can declare the summer is ended. Now, we will show to you on the timeanddeath.com. So let us look at the Gregorian calendar. Gregorian calendar. Is it Gregorian? Okay. September 22, 2021. 2021. Look at, that is April 9. So, it must be September 23 that you can say the summer is ended. So, the last day of summer is September 22. Then September 23, that is the time by which the summer is ended, by which perfectly fits to the Bible calendar, which is April 10. Let us put September 23, 2021. You see, in Bible calendar, that is April 10, 2023. Brothers and sisters, the only answer that I could give is Jeremiah 8:20. That in the Bible, Jeremiah 8:20 is the close of provision. Who said that? Sister White and B.T. Hodder. Okay, I would like to make a short summarization and we will continue tomorrow. Jeremiah 8:20 is very important. I remember the statement here in 2SR. 147, it says, will you, brother, will you, sister, adorn yourself with the righteousness of Christ? Or will you wait a little longer until after the harvest is past? Someone shall utter the following words in great disappointment. The harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. Jeremiah 8:20. Shall you or shall I? Well, it's up to us. Now, brothers and sisters, I remember the statement here in 2SR 157. It says, the harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. Jeremiah 8:20. Reading 2SR 157. The harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. Jeremiah 8:20. Others shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the words of the Lord, and shall not find it. Amos 8 verse 12. When God's people shall have ceased from their God-given work, their answer will be, we have nothing for you. The harvest is past. Salvation has ceased. You are too late. Now, I would like to read again. 2SR 157. It says, when God's people shall have ceased from their God-given work, their answer will be, we have nothing for you. The harvest is past. Salvation has ceased. You are too late. Now, let us go back again, brothers and sisters. Jeremiah 8 verse 20. That is the close of provision for the church. Although, according to the Shepherd's Rod, track number 9, page 70 and page 71, and track number 3, page 70 and 71, it has a double application, first to the church and then to the world. But let us focus our attention first to the church. Now, brothers and sisters, it must be in perfect harmony, the Bible and the season. In Jeremiah 8 verse 20 gives an absolute answer that the close of provision must be on the time when the summer is ended. When would be the summer will end? September 22 and September 23. Or September 22. That is very plain. But in Bible calendar, it must be April 10. Therefore, on that April 9 at sunset, that is already April 10. And why is it that it is infallible? You remember the diagram that I gave to you concerning September? The year. When it will be repeated again. That September 22 is April 9 in Bible calendar. Let us look at. I already gave to you that diagram to Sister Ronnie. September, you're the one who formed that diagram. September 22, by which, and that is infallible because it will take thousands of years to repeat again. Brothers and sisters, that is the reality. So let us show to the brethren. September 22, 2021, that is April 9. Let us make it individual because very slow. September 22, 2021, that is in Bible calendar, that is April 9. How about September 22, 2022? September 22, 2021. In Bible calendar, this is April 9. How about September 22, 2022? In Bible calendar, it is April 14. How about September 22, 2023? Then September 22, 2024. September 22, 2025. Just to show to you that, so, now let us look at September 22, 2023. When would be? September 22, 2023. That is already in Bible calendar, that is already April 19. No longer April 10. September 22, 2024. That is April 25. You see, brothers and sisters, the shepherd's rod, the Bible, the spirit of prophecy perfectly coincides that there is only one specific year by which the sealing of the 144,000 will take place. And that is the reason why the shepherd's rod used this, the statement, this year. It seems that this reading can be read only this year. Next year, it could no longer be applicable, this statement in track number 5, page 88. I would like to read to you. Track number 5, page 88. And finally, the only revelation pertaining to and coming at a year and preparing the four angels. Track number 5, page 88. And finally, the only revelation pertaining to and coming at a year and preparing the four angels for to slay the third part of men is, says the Lord, the year of my redeem. The Bible inscribed it in definite article, the, because the word the is definite article. What is a definite article? Pointing to the specific year. And then the shepherd's rod says, and this year, it cannot be applied in the days of Beti-Hotep. Because Beti-Hotep died and the sealing of the 144,000 is still unfinished. But here, it was predicted beforehand that the sealing of the 144,000, only 1 year. One specific year. pointing to one specific year. And it says, and this year at which his people are redeemed is, of course, the time of the sealing and of the deliverance of the 144,000, indicating that there is only definite time, definite year, the sealing of the 144,000. And that sealing of the 144,000 will not begin until Jesus Christ will arrive. How could the sealing begins without the presence of Jesus Christ? And the Bidian are mocking and deriding us by letting them know that Jesus Christ arrived. What is the purpose of Jesus Christ, of his arrival? To seal the 144,000. Instead of studying, brothers and sisters, some will say, Ariel Perez Dakutanan teaches that this one, and then derided us. By which when we look at to their post, it only reveals their utter ignorance of the judicial proceedings in the heavenly sanctuary, as well as the occurrence of the chronological order of events. It only completely reveals that they have but a little understanding concerning the plan of redemption. To repeat again, brothers and sisters, the sealing of the 144,000 cannot begin not until Jesus Christ will arrive to this earth together with the cherubim. What is that coming of Jesus Christ? Now, I would like to read to you tract number 1. Let's read tract number 1 on page 12 and page 13. And just ponder deeply with this statement. And do not immediately oppose the message. It says here in tract number 1, page 12 and 13, in the clear light of these facts, chapter 9 is seen to hold the climactic scene of the vision, describing the awful work which the Lord is to do when, with the cherubim, he visits the earth. The Lord mentioned here, it is Jesus Christ. When Jesus Christ will visit the earth, it shows the fearsome consequences to those who reject its message. Its blessings means the kingdom loss. What message that they reject? To let them know that Jesus Christ already arrived to this earth. And what is the bottom line of the message? To announce to each individual that we need to prepare our lives that Jesus Christ could seal us. That we should be without guile in our mouths. How could it be? Without guile, you are speaking evil against your fellow man. Now, I would like to read a statement. It says, tragic, prideful experience, it shall be the fate of all who refuse now to awake and to know about it, but who choose rather to remain in ignorance of its truth and of the object of the Lord's coming in his throne. As the prophet was looking toward the north, he saw a great cloud coming like a whirlwind to earth, watching with intense interest, is drawing nearer and nearer. Finally, he saw the living creatures, the wheels and the rest, the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord, whereupon I fell, he says, upon my face, and I heard the voice of the one that spake. Unmistakably, the Lord himself come to give a message to Ezekiel. And what is the message given by God to Ezekiel? To inform the 144,000 that he has already arrived to this earth. It says here in tract number 1, page, let's read. In tract number 1 on pages 36 and page 37, it says that the all-happy hour is approaching when we shall mount up in this most glorious chariot, so stirs our hearts as to cause us fairly to shout the question, when will this chariot arrive? How long will it stay? When? Now, we already declared that Jesus Christ arrived to this earth on that Sabbath. Now, instead of to study closely if such doctrine can pass the test of investigation, they immediately mock, they immediately speak evil, derided the message. Very disheartening. It says here, when considered in the light of the four pertinent facts so far established, these questions are virtually self-answering. Number one, the Lord comes to earth in this chariot. From it, He commands Ezekiel to go to speak to His people. If the sealing of the 144,000 is already finished when Jesus Christ will visit, then what for that God commanded Ezekiel to speak to the 12 tribes? And third, it says, Ezekiel did not bear the message to the people of his day. He will bear it to the people at the commencement of the loud cry. But who are they? The people that which Ezekiel will speak. It says here in tract number 1, page 14, these mandatory words. Tract number 1, page 14, these mandatory words of weighty significance to all reveal that the message which the prophet received is only for God's people, to the house of Israel. So the loud cry mentioned here must be the sealing of the 144,000. Here in tract number 1, page 20, since the purification or the sealing came at the commencement of the loud cry, as we have already seen, the 144,000 are the first fruits, the first to be sealed. So the commencement of the loud cry is the sealing of the 144,000 living saints. What is loud cry? Clear message to inform each individual to prepare our lives to be among that special company. It is not I, it is not you, it is Jesus Christ with the cherubim that will seal the 144,000. But the 12 tribes need to be informed so that we could prepare our lives to receive the seal of Jesus Christ. And that is the only reason of such message, my dear brothers and sisters. Now here the statement is says in tract number 1, page 10, as the chariots mounting up from the earth shows that in this particular throne, God visits the earth, and then when His mission is accomplished, returns to heaven. What is the mission of that visitation? It says here in page 17, in tract number 1, continuing to behold in vision the cherubim and the glory of God's throne, the prophet saw the Lord come to the threshold of the house, the church, and as He gave charge to His angel was clothed with linen, and with the writer incorn by his side. Ezekiel heard him command the men, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abomination that be done in the midst thereof. And this is the message that I would like to read to you. The last passage. Tract number 1, page 23 and 24. It says, the message, moreover, finding them in the church, not in the world, they are therefore virgins, that is not defiled with women. Tract number 1, page 23 and page 24. It says, the message, moreover, finding them in the church, not in the world, they are therefore virgins, that is not defiled with women. Revelation 14, verse 4. The churches of the world, and they are without guile in their mouths, having kept their tongues from criticizing and fault finding. Why is it that the 144,000 are without guile in their mouths? Because they never criticize. They never find fault. How much more if you are criticizing the message from heaven? It says, they will question and criticize everything, says the spirit of prophecy, in forewarning of the purification that arises in the unfolding of truth, criticize the work and position of others, criticize every branch of the work in which they have not themselves a part. And I would like to read the commentary given by the chairperson. It says, these solemn words, may it lay well to heart, and may not let the enemy beguile them with good words and fair speeches on this life and death matter. That is life and death matter. What is life and death matter? The visitation of Jesus Christ. And it says, fix in your mind the fact that Christ rising up from his mediatorial work cannot be after the probation close. Not after probation has closed. For note carefully, he is to rise up during the unfolding of truth. Let it take heed that he fall not to criticize the message or the messengers, but rather that he sigh and cry as the Lord bids for all the abominations that be done in the midst the church, lest he be found on the wrong side, reigns with the evildoers, and thus doomed to fall under the angel slaughter weapons. We will continue this subject tomorrow, brothers and sisters. We love you, brethren. And we really feel the deep obligation placed in our shoulder by God. To tell you frankly, if this message is not coming from heaven, we would not waste our time in broadcasting this message. Brothers and sisters, you can read in the writings of Sister White that to become a messenger of God is not a pleasant work. I think that is in volume 5. No, it is not a pleasant work. You will be subject with derision, mocking, brothers and sisters. But that is our fate, our destiny. And we know that the coming joy is ours. We love you, brethren. We are nearing home. And the time is almost over. And we will be only waiting just 2 remaining years, 2021 and 2022. Study, read, ponder deeply before everything is too late. Thank you very much. We love you, brethren. Hope to see you in God's kingdom. So, thank you very much for listening and viewing this program. May the good Lord bless you and have a beautiful, wonderful evening.